Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 3 stories for you from the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Make sure to follow us on your podcasting platform of choice, and if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. And if you do, there might just be some cookies for you in the near future. So here's my question of the day. If you could only have one type of cookie going forward, but it can't be your favorite, what would it be? What's your second choice? Alright, on to today's stories. Let's jump right in. This story comes to us from Emotional Figure 1575. Customer wants her sensors off? Okay, but I need to verify your receipt. Karen, named for obvious reasons, came in and stopped me and asked, "Are you the manager?" "Yes, how can I help you?" I guess she didn't hear me and she responded, "Are you the manager?" "Yes, what do you need?" She said she had a problem and then stormed off to the registers. I followed. Karen then goes into a tirade. "I bought these and the girl didn't give me my paper receipt. I asked for it and she didn't. And then she was rude and left the sensors on these. I had to call customer service and wait on hold for them to send me my receipt. She should have given me my paper receipt, and now I want these off." "Sure thing," I told her. "I'm sorry about the sensors. Let me just see your receipt." She shows me the receipt off her phone, and I see she had a member number at the top. I begin to let her know that she didn't need to contact customer service, and we would have been able to look up her transaction. Karen interrupts me and says, "I don't care, I wanted a paper receipt." I understand. What I'm trying to explain is, no, you're not helping. I just want the sensors off and my paper receipt. "Okay, ma'am, I can help you with that. I just wanted to let you know we have the ability to get your receipt in store. You didn't need to wait for them to send you a receipt." "You're not being helpful, just do your job. I'm not gonna argue with you." She's yelling all her responses to me. That's fine, I'm not trying to argue. However, if you continue being rude, I won't help you and you'll have to go to another store. Then, something clicked in my head about a malicious compliance I read about a lady counting coins one by one, just to be petty. So I put on my best customer service voice, cue malicious compliance. I asked to see her phone for the receipt and she's holding it in front of me. "It's dim, can you make it brighter?" She does. "I can't seem to find it, can you scroll down?" "You can touch my phone." "I'm sorry, I'd rather not. I don't want to hurt it." She scrolls down. I take a full minute to scan looking for the shirt that she bought to confirm the purchase before removing the sensor. I can't see it. Maybe you scrolled too fast. Can you scroll back up?" "This is ridiculous. Can you look it up on your side then?" Of course. That's why we always ask for an email to hold receipts in case you don't get a paper copy. Luckily, the phone I was using was stuck on loading, so I sat there for a few more minutes and told her, "Sorry, I have to get another phone, this one doesn't work." I get another phone, it loads up. I spend about 3 more minutes typing in her email, one letter at a time. After all, I had to make sure I typed it in correctly. I ended up spending a good 5 more minutes just scrolling on the phone, pretending to look for her receipt. Found it. Now let me see if this is on it. Here's the tag. Unfortunately, if the tag isn't on the garment, I have to verify off of the tag inside. Sorry, the numbers are pretty small. Just give me another moment. I spent 2 minutes verifying. Perfect, I'll take that sensor off. Going through to the last shirt, it was only 2. I backed out of my store app. Oh darn, my phone froze and it closed out. I'm gonna need your email address again. Didn't I just give it to you? Yes, but I try not to remember customer emails. You know, privacy reasons. Karen gives me the email but says it fast this time. Can you slow down and spell it, please? Another couple of minutes goes by, and oops, I need to find the receipt again. Find the receipt after some time. Oh, I found it. No, wait, that's a different shirt. One moment. The tag's on this one, so you can see the numbers better. Oh, thank you, but I already found the inside tag. I'll just go off that instead. I can't seem to find it. I'll just look for it on my receipt. What am I looking for? The product number. Good idea using the tag. Better to read the numbers. Karen, after a few more minutes, "Here, I found it," shows me her phone. "Could you hold your hand steady? I can't read the numbers." I pretend to focus my eyes. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me get this last sensor off for you. Fiddle with the sensor for a bit and finally get it off. Give her bag back and told her to have a great day. All in all, what could have been a 1-minute interaction turned into me wasting 30 minutes of her time. I'm just glad to have been able to provide a thorough and positive service to my customer. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Giannis is the best. It says, not sure I'd want to spend 30 minutes around a customer I dislike, but I guess if it entertains or satisfies you, that is good. In general, I'd rather get away from people like that ASAP. I feel like wasting Karen's time in this case might make them think twice about buying things from that store again, or at least causing a problem in that store again. Because if it's going to take 30 minutes to resolve such a small issue, they might not want to be inconvenienced, and thus they might not try it again. We are talking about a Karen though, so if they go a day or two without annoying somebody or trying to get their way, their head might explode. This story comes to us from Jenny, 8765309. So close. Okay, Karen, be careful what you ask for. It's funny how a song can trigger a memory. This morning when I drove my kids to school, the song This Old Heart of Mine by Rod Stewart started playing. Remember this for later. Also, remember this was the late 1990s, early 2000s. So although cell phones were popular, it was a far cry from what we have today. If someone was needed, we had to call their pager and wait for a call back. About 20 years ago, my husband and I moved to a different state from where we were both born and raised. The move was for his job. So rather than pursue a job in my regular field, I found a temp to hire job in a regular office. When I went for the interview, it turned out that my soon-to-be boss grew up one town over from me. So rather than a usual half-hour interview, it turned into over an hour of chatting about our sports team back home, the differences between the states, etc. Karen, the second in command, sat through the interview and looked bored. She loudly yawned and stretched her arm. Despite the fact that boss and I didn't realize how bothered she was, she had a Karen haircut before it was popular. By the time I got back to our apartment just minutes away, the temp agency called and said the company wanted me and was willing to buy the rest of the contract I had with the temp place in order to make sure I worked with them. As it turned out, I was taking Karen's old job. She got a promotion, so you would think that everything would be cool. I was wrong. While Karen wasn't my boss in any way, shape, or form, and had no supervisory power over me, she let it be known that I was the newbie in the office. She was hired only 6 months earlier, so she was a newbie herself. Karen was known to be a pest in the office. Nothing major, but she would do petty things that would bother people. She would make microwave popcorn and leave the bag in for 5 minutes, making the entire floor smell horrible. She would listen to her voicemails on speaker, even when she was sitting with her hands idle. During that time, I thought I was pregnant and had to schedule a doctor's appointment. Although it would have been a welcome surprise, hubby and I were married for just a few months, it turned out the stress of moving and being a newlywed got to me, and my schedule was off. I wasn't pregnant during that time, just stressed. Karen overheard my conversation with setting up the appointment and reminded me that while I was at work, I was on company time and wasn't allowed to make personal calls. Fans of The Office will understand this. The floor plan was just like Dunder Mifflin, very open, and you could hear everyone's conversation during the day. It became a usual din of white noise, with everyone talking quietly, basic common sense. Boss was fantastic. He had a great sense of humor and was super friendly. I remember one day, I walked back to my cube from the fax machine. He cranked up the small radio he had in his corner cube. This old heart of mine rang throughout the office, and as he turned around, he saw me, then took me in his arms, and we danced. He twirled me around, I laughed, and a few others in the office tapped their feet or did a little dance in their chair. I can't tell you how excellent the people in the office were, except Karen. After the dance with my boss, she walked up to me while I was at the coffee maker. She went on to tell me that what boss did was completely inappropriate, and that I could sue for harassment. I rolled my eyes and told her to lighten up. Boss was in his late 60s and would always talk about his grandchild. He was the kind of boss that everyone would want to have. Karen would often go to meetings in another part of the floor. Since she was somewhat close to my cube, every second she was away was heaven. In the meetings, she would leave her pager on her desk, as any matters could have been handled right then and there. Fast forward a few months, and both she and I were settled in our new jobs. Soon, she became distracted because she and her husband were set to buy their first home. During this time, it was a seller's market, meaning that properties were scarce and anything that came on the market sold at or way above the asking price. My husband worked with someone who paid $50,000, yes, $50,000 above the asking price. The dream home that Karen and her husband wanted was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house on 1 acre of land, just on the outskirts of town. Karen made good money, as did her hubby, so the sale would be based on both incomes. Soon, Karen thought that my role in the office was her private secretary. I wasn't, but what was once in a while, "Can you do me a huge favor and fax this?" turned into a demand of, "Do this now." After the first few times of nicely asking me to fax something, she would ask me for the confirmation report. Although I was clearly busy with my heaps of paperwork, I'd look through the pile of piles and find what she needed. Soon, even when she could see that I was busy and we had an office secretary whose job it was to fax for others, etc., Karen demanded that I do it. She was tired about not getting an immediate response to when the fax went through. She insisted that I not only do the clerk work that wasn't part of my job, but I let her know what I do every step of the way. Every step of the way. Okie dokie. Soon, we had the infamous day of Karen being in an hours-long meeting, her pager on her desk. Her hubby was at their apartment playing phone tag with the realtor, waiting for a response to their offer on their dream house. The closed conference door meant "do not disturb." Basically, unless your hair was on fire or the woman next to you was in labor, do not disturb. The D&D rule was set by Karen, as she didn't like interruptions for what she called petty reasons, such as someone landing a big account, etc. Karen gave me 2 different papers to fax, every step of the way, remember? So, "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just want you to know I noticed your request and I'll go to the fax machine now." "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just want to let you know I've stood up and I'm heading to the fax machine right now." "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just want to let you know that I faxed the paper to the first company. I'm back at my desk now, and after a sip of coffee, I'll go back to the fax machine and do the second one." "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just to let you know, someone else was using the fax machine, so I had to wait." "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just to let you know that while waiting for the fax machine to be free, I walked down the hall to use the bathroom." "Hey Karen, it's OP. Just to let you know, I'm back at my desk and I'm getting ready to stand up again and go to the fax machine." I called her when I stood up, walked to the fax machine, used the ladies' room, took a sip of coffee, sat back down, went back to get the confirmation reports, etc. I also marked each voicemail as urgent. Her voicemail box was soon full, and there was no way of her hubby to get through to her for her to okay the final offer to the house, which was higher than the asking price. She didn't have a cell phone, and this was way before texting, and she left her pager on her desk. The door was shut, so nobody could disturb for any reason. Her own rule. Nobody could get a message to Karen, so she wasn't able to get back to her hubby. Someone else bought the house, and although I wish I could say it was my hubby and me, Karen and her hubby were devastated. She asked me why I didn't get her when he tried to call, and I reminded her that we couldn't have personal calls during work hours. A few months later, my hubby got a job transfer and we moved again, this time to a different state. About 10 years ago, I joined Facebook and soon friended my old boss and a few former coworkers. I found out that after I left, Karen lost her punching bag, and combined with the stress of losing the house and her dreams, she and her hubby soon separated. She left the company, and nobody knows what happened to her or her marriage. I've searched for people by her name in the state where we work together, and then did a general search for her name. Unfortunately, she has a very common name, so it's hard to narrow it down. She wanted me to do something that wasn't my job, and wanted to know what I did every step of the way. So I did. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Perp Indignant. It says, for the faxes, I would have taken them over to the admin whose job it was and let them know that Karen needed these faxes sent right away. When Karen asked about it, I'd let her know that I'd followed the process to have faxes sent out and would let her know when I had the result. Definitely agree with this commenter because there was a person in the office that was dedicated to doing those jobs, so OP should have taken it to that person. However, OP probably should have gone to their boss in the first place because they said they didn't report to Karen at all, and Karen was trying to get them to do things. So OP should have talked to their boss and said, hey, Karen's trying to get me to do these things, but I'm not in her direct reports, so I'm wondering if I actually have to do this. That boss could handle it themselves. Go directly to Karen and say, hey, leave my people alone. That would be a lot easier than everything that OP did. This story comes to us from Available Capital 476. If that's what you really want, Karen. Once upon a time, I was working a seasonal retail job at a craft store chain. It's important to note that for the purposes of their sales, lighted tree toppers, lighted decorations, string lights, etc. were all separate categories. On this fateful day, lighted tree toppers were on sale 30% off. The rest of the lighted decor on that aisle was not. The sales were very clearly marked, and the sections designated clearly as well as the category printed on the package itself. It is even listed in the email that Karen was using to present her coupon. Karen approaches my register with her tree topper. The register recognizes the discounts and applies them automatically in most instances, this being no exception. The 30% applies itself. Your total will be $18.90. Karen then presents her 20% off coupon. I'm sorry, ma'am. This coupon is not applicable to sale items. Those aren't on sale. The lights aren't on sale this week. I show the copy of our sale bulletin on my counter. I apologize for the confusion, ma'am. This actually falls under the tree topper category. You'll see here it's 30% off. I won't be able to apply the coupon, but you will be getting the already discounted sale price. I'm telling you, I don't want any sale. You're going to take my coupon. I should probably mention, she was in at least once weekly, yelled about sales and coupons every single time, and then declared she was never coming back, only to be back the following week to do the same. Ma'am, I would have to manually override the sale price and apply the coupon manually as well. Then do it. I'm telling you it's not on sale, and I'm using my coupon or I'm reporting you. Yes, ma'am, if you insist. I got visual confirmation from my supervisor in the way of a hand signal we used to mean go ahead. She was not too happy when I did exactly as she demanded, and her total came to $21.60. You're stealing from me. I demand to speak to a manager. I'm never coming back here again. My shift supervisor had been on the next register over the whole time to combat the afternoon rush. That's how she managed to give the visual approval in the moment. She took great joy herself in telling Karen, you have the exact discounted price you demanded. You could pay it or leave. Oh, you're never coming back? Do you promise? Karen paid her $21.60 with her head hung. She was back next week. Jumping down to the comment on this one, we have one from a user called VVSumi. It says, I hope you greeted her with, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. When you said you were never coming back, was that a lie? OP responded and said, oh, I greeted her very sweetly every single week. Oh, welcome back. We weren't expecting to see you again. What a pleasure. She was never pleased, but couldn't exactly report it to corporate. What was she going to say? Your employee greets me every time I say I hate her. Ah, yes, the customer that says, I'm never coming back, or I'm taking my business elsewhere. It's like, oh, Karen, really? So you're telling me that the trash is going to take itself out? If you enjoyed daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and give us a rating on your podcasting platform of choice. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.